Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Triggering Chaos. We got a special treat for you today.
Let's go back in time and redo one of
My
the earlier
favorite
episodes.
JRPGs of all time.
I mean, pretty up there for me.
We are
Classic.
essentially doing a new game plus for this show.
Yep, we're going back to Chrono Trigger.
And what a marvelous
The,
game it will be, and was, and will be again if they ever do a re-release. Or I should say a re-release at this point.
the joke should have been was, is, and forever will be because we go through multiple timelines or time eras. Timelines is something the game actually doesn't do, but then does with its.
We'll talk about that when we get to the flaws of the game, which I admit there are quite a few, but not enough to ruin the game. Nowhere near enough to
No,
ruin the game.
no.
I'm your host,
But
Soul. This is
regardless,
my co host, M, and let's dive into it.
yeah. Yep.
So,
So,
this was back in 1995.
yep.
Now, that's when it was released in America. I'm not sure it was released sooner in Japan, just to be fair.
Mm.
But this was before Square Enix came about. This was when Square was still Squaresoft.
Yep. Before they and Enix did the. Well, I would say the fusion dance was more along the lines of Boo or Cell absorbing Square because
Yeah, that's a
Spirits Within was a
whole other thing. I
terrible.
don't think we need to go down that well.
It's really fascinating for those who look into stuff like that. I really recommend looking into it because, well, you can kind of blame Spirits Within the movie, and it's not the only reason that happened, but it is the last nail in the
There's
coffin
a
of
bunch
SquareSoft.
of reasons. Let's be honest. There was. It's not like there wasn't a theme going on for that,
No,
and it's not like it's
SquareSoft.
not still going on. So
Yeah, it definitely feels like there's still some SquareSoft stupidity from the late '90s in Square Enix. Of, hey, there's a great idea. Oops, we dropped it on the floor.
yeah. But let's go back just a little bit farther than when the game was released to when it was still being produced.
Yeah, when it
Now, this
was
art.
much.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
This is the original art, or I should say concept art, was made by a Masato Kato, if I'm saying their name properly. If not, I do apologize to the artist because you do wonderful work,
I
but
like it.
it doesn't feel anything outside of what you would find outside of a Final Fantasy game. Let's be honest.
Definitely feels somewhere Final Fantasy, maybe more Final Fantasy Legends, aka the Saga franchise.
Well, I'm
Really
just saying
does
it
remind me of.
definitely feels more in line with their Final Fantasy series. Is all I'm saying. Maybe not exactly, but let's be honest. Some Final
Honestly,
Fantasy games feel different than all the others in the series. So, well, I should say series, but you know what I mean.
yeah, I know what you mean.
But
But it's overall pretty clear they intended on different time zones with, well, not time zones, time eras with a Triceratops in the background, a
mhm.
ninja girl. The main character looks kind of steampunky-ish.
Yeah, these three,
There's
actually these four, kind of feel like they're from the same time period.
kind of, I could see it, but also the businesswoman on the right feels like she might be just from our time.
Well, I'm just saying they feel the closest, so maybe she was more slightly more futuresque. But eh,
Or less steampunkish future. I don't know. That's the thing about time travel. Fashion is weird.
I mean, at least they kept her love for blowing stuff up.
Magic. Yeah, this is definitely prototype Luca, who we'll talk about later. But
Yeah.
they kept the idea of the three female being prehistoric,
Because I
more
think this was
techy, and
concept Ayla, this is Marl, and this is Luca, as far as I can tell, going in that order left to right. At least from what I read, because this art was actually given about when I don't remember what year, but it was Chrono Trigger's orchestration when they going about and they gave out the pamphlets, and this was concept art that was in one of the pamphlets for one of the years. So kudos to the wonderful art.
it is wonderful art. And I can definitely, while I personally enjoy the later artists they picked up for it, who we'll talk about shortly, this is not bad.
No,
It's
like I
not.
said, this is concept art. This wasn't supposed to be anything hard based.
Yeah, honestly, I could easily see this being an entire manga.
And I will admit, this is better than
But
anything I could possibly draw.
yeah, but translating this to the 16-bit definitely would not have been easy.
I don't think it would have been.
No.
I mean, it's not like anything Kirito Yao gave was that much easier, but
Yes and no. We'll talk about that momentarily, but I do like the prototype for Frog being a little more realistically Frog, but I do not like the prototype for Robo. I don't know why I don't like it.
uh,
It's a strange robot.
again, once again, it's concept art, and sometimes the concept art just doesn't work. But it's not, like I said, it's better than anything I could draw.
And I wouldn't have invited Pteranodon the party if this was supposed to be a party image.
Yeah, I would definitely have found it interesting, especially with the dual text,
Yeah.
the wonderful, wonderful dual text.
Yes.
All right, let's see what the next image is. See,
Yeah, you
this
can
really
definitely
makes me feel like a dark themed
Saga.
Final Fantasy, or
Really makes you
even
think of the Saga games.
yeah, or even Legend of Mana. This really gives me that tone feel.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I would like to know what
It,
the hell this is.
that's definitely the Mammon machine, which, considering Mammon is kind of a demon in, I think, early Christianity, it really does feel demonic. I like it.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely. I would love to know what the original ideas were for this. I don't think. I think what they, like I said, I love Chrono Trigger. What they finally came out with is awesome to me. But I would like to know what all this
Hmm.
concept art was for. And unfortunately, I can't read Japanese. I lost where I got these artwork from, so I don't know what the original notes were. If
Yeah.
anybody can read this and knows Japanese, please put down in the comments what any of this is.
So there is also, it might also be like scribble writing, like, this is just rough draft, rough writing on it too.
Yeah, but I'm willing to
It'd
accept
be
if
hard
that's
to
all
say.
that is and just what the notes actually say.
I don't know. Maybe it's just saying hair too poofy. Hair not poofy enough.
Give more poof.
I don't know.
But
Considering notes and what artists write for themselves and what others might have written, it's hard to say. But regardless, that is some fine detail.
yeah, but
Eh,
let's move on a little bit. And as we mentioned, this game involves time travel.
heavily.
We go to I want to say like 8 time
60.
periods.
Let's see. We have the first time period we go to, 65 million BC.
The prehistoric
Please
age.
do not bring in actual history with this because this game will take you back and whack you. In this era, man walked side by side with sentient talking
The
dinosaurs.
reptites. And that does sound like
So
something Scientology or some other crazy cult would name it. So kudos for actually
yeah,
for that one.
I could definitely see the lizard men being called the reptites if there haven't already been.
Yeah.
But
So this is where we
this
pick
is
up.
not.
I want to
This is as
say
far back.
our fifth party member.
Hey, yes and no. You kind of can't and get her, but
Yeah.
regardless, this is where we get Ayla. This is where we get Ayla, the team's physical powerhouse.
This is her village over here. No, this is not to scale because if it was, we'd have a lot of questions.
Every JRPG map from the SNES was not to scale.
This is the reptite main hideout, surrounded by lava, so they stay warm. Because obviously they're dinosaurs; they would be cold blooded. Unless that
Yep.
historically changed, I don't know.
And they're weak to lightning.
A lot of things are weak to lightning, so I can't blame for that one.
If the game especially points out they're weak to lightning,
Fair
which
enough.
always makes me think of that joke from Pokemon Pikachu, Thorn.
This is one of the reptite hideouts.
Yep.
Up here is where we ride the pterodactyls,
Yeah.
and that was an awesome scene, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Over here is an island that will persist throughout the ages. For no apparent reason, I promise you that.
I mean, no reason given why it does, but it's useful to you getting getting an ultimate weapon and some good armor.
Yeah. And our next time period is 12,000 BC, the time of Zeal.
The Ice Age, which is directly caused by what happened in 65 million BC, so from 65 million BC all the way to 12,000 BC, there is unending ice.
Mm-hmm. Now,
Like I told you, do not bring actual real world history into this. It does not care.
And I like the link to Pangea because continental drift is an actual thing, and
Yep.
well, this is the best example of it, really.
Yep.
Um, I think this mountain range here is where the village of the shit, I forget what they call it, like the Earth people, because this is
Earthbound, I
pretty
think they
much
called them.
I forget. I just know it's pretty much just broken up into a two class system. You're either down here without
Yeah.
magic, or you're up here with magic.
Yep. Veal itself is a kingdom of floating upon the heavens above the endless snow
It's
clouds.
pretty much a paradise, and everybody else up there says screw you down there.
I always had one question. Are they using magic to make water, or is some guy going all the way down to collect the water that falls down and put it back up?
I just got another question. Why don't
Hmm.
we see the falling water on this map?
Oh, because it freezes and turns into snow.
Fair enough. But yeah, pretty much anyone down here, if you are down here, you're pretty much either forgotten or you're a slave, pretty much.
Or a prisoner.
Yeah. And if you're up here, you're pretty much either ignorant, got a stick up your ass, or just try not to get arrested for having a soft heart.
Yeah.
Because that, I don't know what it was like before, but at this current time, the ruling body was kind of messed up a lot. We'll get
That
into
crappy
that
man
later.
might be the word I describe it. Yes. So the next era we go to is
600
680.
AD.
That is a not a biggest jump from the last time zone, but it is a pretty big jump.
I mean, at
We
least
don't know what the BC stands for in this universe because
before
or,
Chrono,
no, that's 1,000 years later.
or is it time travel?
No.
I know.
Well, we don't see that.
Um,
Before croissants were invented,
makes so much sense.
or cheese, one of the two. Before the cheese croissant was invented.
You got your cheese in my croissant. You got your croissant in my cheese.
Wow, this is way better than putting peanut butter and chocolate together.
But no, this is our medieval time era of knights,
Um,
sorcery, and pretty much a D&D campaign.
yeah, complete with the fiends, the Medidians, or however you want to pronounce that.
The
That's not an
mystics,
easy word.
I believe is what they're called.
Yeah,
Um,
mystics. They live in the land of Midia, or something like that.
mhm,
Look, just because we play this game a lot does not mean we know how to pronounce everything from it.
yeah. A few small details have slipped through the cracks in my memory, but that's no surprise to anyone that actually listens to this, especially my
Yeah,
co-host.
yeah. Your brain is Swiss cheese at times.
Ooh, Swiss cheese.
I should not put
This is
cheese
the
around
Kingdom
him.
of Guardia, finally established. I think supposedly
Well, the game starts in 1,000 AD, and they have 1,000-year celebration. So Guardia for Guardia, but that's not what Guardia doesn't start with a C unless English really got bastardized after a few hundred
unless
years.
my only thing is maybe C is like the name of the first Guardia ruler, and like that was his name. Like it began with something like a C.
Hmm. Before the country was established.
I'll roll with it. But this is
Yeah.
Guardia, 600 AD. Truce is down here.
Now, Truce is up there. That's port.
Oh, okay. This is poor Truce. Uh, yeah, I know this is Fiona's house, right here in the middle of the
Yeah.
desert. This island is where Magus and his men live.
Hmm.
This is Ozzy's fortress over here.
Yep. Which eventually becomes the village of Medidia, where the mystics live.
This is the island that persists throughout the timelines.
Hmm.
This
I for,
is
I forget what that one's called, but it's where the hero's grave
yeah, this is the
and
hero's grave right here. But beyond that, I forget the exact name of this village also.
a lot
But
of these villages' names do not matter at all unless you're really nitpicking things.
well, to be
You
fair,
don't.
this one only comes up when you're trying to get the people to help rebuild the hero's grave, so that the
Yeah.
village name itself is not that important.
No.
But going a step farther, we're now in 1000 AD, the starting point of the game.
Yep.
You can
As
see
you
a little bit of
see,
progress with the appearance of the world.
yep, a mountain has sprung up where a village was, so volcano?
Earthquake? Mass shift of tectonic plates? Who the hell knows?
Yeah.
It's not the worst thing this planet's gone through, let's be honest.
Or will go through.
Fiona's shrine is here, and there's
Yep.
no longer a desert. Now, this is, I believe, a bit of a error on my part. Not because it's not actually the map, but because there is ways you can change the map through time travel. This, I believe, at the start is still just another desert, or at
Yeah,
least
it is a
not
desert.
forest.
Yeah.
This was after you helped Fiona back in 600 AD revive the forest. So,
Yep.
then down here's the village of Port again.
Mm-hmm.
Port, however you want to say it. Over here is the other village we talked about, and there's Toma's grave. He was someone we met in 600 AD. He was a treasure hunter.
Yep.
Hero's grave once again. The persisting isle. The village of the
The
mystics.
island.
And the shortcut underground that leads here and pops you out over here.
Yep. Oh, and below that shortcut is the Melchior's workshop.
Yep. And right here is Luca Ashtier's home and island. We'll discuss why in a few moments. Now, next up on our time traveling tour, we have 1999.
So, for those of you old enough, or at least aware enough of the history, 1999 was one of those years where people were convinced it was going to be the end of the world.
Yeah, anybody remember? What was it? The 2YK or whatever the hell it was?
Y2K.
Y2K. Thank you.
Jeez, your memory is terrible. Year 2000. Remember, that's when everyone started using K to represent 1,000.
Look, people do a lot of things I don't understand or pay attention to.
Maybe if you tried to pay attention more, you'd learn more.
Or maybe I'd be a bigger asshole than I am now. I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway, this game was corrected by the end of the world.
So this is, I'm assuming, another form of Guardia up here. Fiona's Forest
Guardian
is
2.0.
still around and kicking. I'm guessing this is going to be poor again. I would like to know what this little island over here is for. Maybe
Oh,
like
that's where they send all the people who dislike pineapple on their pizza.
that sounds about right. Luca's place seems to have survived somehow.
But it lost its bridge.
I'm assuming they got flying
Society.
cars. That's why everything's in a bubble, so you can't crash into it. Look,
I always think those two islands near the on the right there look like Mario mushrooms to me.
I can see it now. With the one-up mushrooms that are green, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But yeah, this is the only timeline we don't get to explore anything in.
Yeah, because unlike in our world, this world actually did experience pretty much the end of the world at 1999.
Yeah.
Which leads to this.
At 2,300 AD.
Not even the one-up mushrooms could have saved this world.
Now they're just Goombas. And there's a third one, and a fourth one, and a fifth. Yeah, wow, they like that island
And a
too, didn't
deformed sixth one. Looks like Mario jumped on that one.
they? Yeah, probably. But yeah, this timeline, life goes on,
But not
I wouldn't
happily.
call it a good life.
I mean, there's a bunch of
Nah.
mutants and robots out there trying to kill you. You're pretty much starving all the time.
Mhm.
And you get a full night's sleep in 6 seconds, but you don't get anything to eat.
Yay.
At that point, I would ask, why don't you just take a regular sleep? Because this is not worth it. And then once again, we have our persistent island up here in the corner. Damaged and
What?
destroyed cities all over the place. I mean, this
Yeah.
really looks nothing like any of the previous maps. This is the one that really just got screwed over.
It really, really did.
So let's move on. And oh wait, we got one more
This is
star that is not anywhere technically on a timeline map.
it's the end of time.
Look, before you try and explain any of this to people, realize this is still just a video game.
Yeah. There's no restaurant here though.
So basically, this is our excuse for only having a 3-man party.
Yeah, if more than three try to time travel at once, all of them get dumped here.
Yeah.
They also here's something that I find actually pretty interesting. They count Robo as the fourth, so that means you can't send a robot through time. So it doesn't matter about souls, or Robo has a soul. Take it as you will.
So this is really just a small area. This is kind of like your rest stop, your pit stop,
Yeah.
whatever the hell you want to refer to it as.
If you ever have problems in the game, don't know where to go, come here and talk to the old mysterious man in the bowler hat underneath the lantern.
And when the old man got here, there was nothing here. So where all this came from, this could be all inside your head for all we could tell you.
It could just be manifestation of what's going on here. Collective unconsciousness. There's enough people here to will something into being. Enough random junk fell through time to here.
I'm just picturing he was just reading like Sherlock Holmes novels, and he just imagined lampposts into existence.
Eh.
But this over here is a little well where you can restore and save your game. And over here is where you can go to the end
Yeah.
of the game and get destroyed.
What? Yeah, as soon as you get here, you are able to fight the final boss.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not a wise idea.
Through this door is just another four-sided gate route, fenced room like over here without the gates.
Yeah.
And that's where
And
you go to learn
inside,
magic from Specchio, the god of war.
as you progress through the game and get stronger, he also gets stronger. So he's a reoccurring boss you can go for anytime. It's mostly just for bragging rights.
And stat increasing items, really.
Yeah, but if you can already beat him, it's already more bragging rights if you ask me.
Fair enough, but I'm just saying. Over here is where our time machine will dock when we get it. Which
Woo.
seems like a dangerous place to park a time machine, but you do you.
Where else are you gonna park it there?
Nah, fair enough. But I mean, they actually do literally just jump off to get to it, so I don't know if it's like parked down here or whatever. Speak the shit out of
It
me.
above, below. Look, there's barely a concept of when here. Where and what should not be on your mind. That's how you end up getting yourself cross-eyed and lost through the abyss of the abyss.
These 3 lights here are actually connected gates, so you can go to certain time periods. You'll have a total of 9 over here.
Mm-hmm.
And that's pretty much all that's here. This is pretty much, like I said, this is pretty much like your stop place, your party gathering, where you can go for clues what to do next. So, once you unlock this place, you're pretty much all set for the grand adventure, really.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's all the time places you go in time. When do you go in time?
Okay, now this picture's going to be stubborn. But, you pretty much start off in... Oh, yeah, you want to be a pain in the ass.
So yeah, we do start off in the year 1000 with the main protagonist, who you get to name all the characters that join your party. When they join your party, the screen goes, "Do you want to rename them?" And you can also rename them at any point later on. Once you unlock, I think it's only in the prehistory you get to unlock renaming.
Okay, well, the group image says want to cooperate, so we'll just move on from there.
Yeah.
This is Chrono, our main hero. He starts off in 1000 AD. He is the one that we start off with.
Yeah, like I said, you get to name him. There's the famous misquote of "Good morning, Chrono" that I don't think that's ever said in the game. But
Um,
yeah, he's well. Let's talk about the elephant in the room when it comes to art styles. Akira Toriyama may be a fantastic artist, but when it comes to repeating himself, he repeats himself a lot.
yeah,
A
but at the
lot.
same time, it's not the worst thing that an artist can do.
No, it's not tracing, at least.
Yeah,
Or
and it's not turning
simul-
everybody into a supermodel.
or simultaneously making a character shove their breasts in front of you and their ass so their spine is broken. But yeah, Chrono clearly looks like, well, one of the San families from Dragon Ball. He looks like adult Gohan to me. Most people I know say he looks like Goku. I don't see it.
I could see it a little bit, but I see mostly. It feels like a mix to me, but that's just how I see it.
So is that's what would have happened if Gohan and Goku used the Potara earrings?
I'll go with it.
Mm.
But yeah, clearly the outfit, the overall design, the spiky hair, it's a clear Akira Toriyama design. There's no two ways about it.
Still good though.
As far
It,
as stats go, he's pretty much well rounded at everything. He is not lacking in anything you need for a party member.
Chrono really feels more focused on speed than anything else.
He was the first character I had the max out of speed stat, so I kind of like
Yeah,
that about him.
yeah. He's the starts off the lightning bruiser, I believe the term is.
Hmm. Um, like all main protagonists for a Final Fantasy game, we know the least about him compared to everybody else.
It's not true. Some Final Fantasy games we know a lot about the main protagonist.
Because the only thing we know about him is that he lives with his mom, he has a cat, and he uses a sword. That's
A
about it.
katana, a katana, while everyone else is using broadswords and shields.
Yeah, that does feel kind of out there and
Mhm.
different, so I kind of like that idea.
Yeah, I question where he got these from, why he learned that style, and
We would
does
never
he
know.
have a does he have a job? He still gets an allowance from his mom, but is that allowance from him paying rent? I don't know. He's just the protagonist who gets in over his head, but clearly means well. He's also the silent protagonist.
Yeah, he does not say a word outside of a non-canon ending.
Yeah,
It's usually implied to try and get you, the player, into the game, into Chrono's shoes. But it, given that it's a 16-bit game, that feels a little lacking when they try to pull that off.
yeah. I honestly feel like out of most silent protagonists don't work. Like Link is pretty much the only one who does work, and he does not work as silent all the time.
Well, the difference I find in that one and is that early Zelda games, he didn't have to say anything a whole lot.
No, he didn't.
There was
But
not
this
a whole
game,
lot of conversation from Link's end. He was kind of more of an observer of what was going on in the story, and a
well,
hero.
like the earliest games where adventurer wanders into mysterious lands, solves problems.
Yeah,
Chrono lives in this world, and people react like, "Oh, hey, Chrono, haven't seen you in a little while. How do I know you?" Like the first partner we get, well, not the first partner, but the first one we meet, Luca, is his childhood friend. We know that.
hmm,
That's it.
yeah. He is also, in my opinion, the first character to break the 9999 HP limit break for damage,
Yeah,
but that's only a sort of cop out on that one.
technicality.
I will call it.
Like how, which is also how they broke it in Final Fantasy 4 and 5. It was kind of a cop out.
Because
You'd
he has an
have,
attack that attacks 4 times.
yeah. So
And
if you can get every slash do 9999, well then he does 999 four times.
so it's technically the most damaging ability in the game when it really shouldn't be.
Yeah, it's not even his ultimate ability, but damage caps are a weird fuzzy wuzzy thing.
And we'll get to that a little bit later down the road. That will come up when we talk
Mm.
about the issues with this game.
Hmm.
But um the other thing is, like, in the main art in the game style, because it's a 16-bit, he is always seen using a styled katana for his weapon. If you
Yeah,
look at any of the actual art styles for some of his weapons, he does use like a long sword or a variety of those, but his main weapon
yeah.
is the katana.
In that fantasy sense of all sword is sword.
Hmm. Other than that, I don't think there's much more we can say about him, because like I said, we in general terms we know the least amount about him.
Yeah,
I mean, in the animated shorts that came with the PlayStation version first, we do see in
hmm,
the opening intro he does train with a boken.
yep.
So
Which again, not very medieval knights and sword stuff. Which his kingdom is still using that kind of technology.
Hmm.
So where did he get this idea? Like, he is the only character you see in any of the animations that is, if they use a sword, is using a katana. Everyone else has a sword and shield. It just, I'm not complaining. I'm just
The only
curious.
other person I can think of is Slash, and I always thought he was using more like a saber.
I thought he was using more of a saber or a fencing sword, depending on how
Yeah.
you look at things. But regardless,
Well, I'd say he
Chrono
was
is
using something
also,
different than a sword and shield. He was just kind of using a.
yeah, Chrono as well is the character with the, well, he started off in the first translation with lightning element. It's been translated to light instead.
And I swear there was a translation
There
for
are,
holy, but I could be misremembering that.
I don't remember being holy, but oftentimes light and holy are conflated to be the same thing.
Mm. It might just be I might have been a fan translation. I read that, but
Yeah. But yeah, there are four elements in game. You have lightning, light, water, ice, fire, and darkness.
mm-hmm. Darkness is a funny one in this game because if you do darkness, you can do certain levels of the other three elements.
Yeah, the two characters with darkness do have other elemental abilities.
Now, spoiler alert. So if you want to skip just a little bit ahead, because this is one of the first games that did this one, Chrono could die off and not come back to the party.
You can choose to revive him or continue the adventure without him.
Mm-hmm.
It does impact the endings.
Yes, this game
Not
has
all endings.
12 different endings when it first came out for the SNES.
13 if you count a variant without Chrono. It's exactly the same, only Chrono's not there.
Yeah, a couple of the endings are just variants of the others, depending on how you do certain concepts of it.
Yeah.
But that's still technically a different ending. So they add up to about 12 to 13, and I think
Hmm.
the remake for the PlayStation added a 14th or 13th. I forget the exact numbers, but it added one more.
Yeah, yeah. Depending on how you want to split that down.
Yeah, and yeah, that's about as. And this is, I will say, this is one of the first games that I played that, as far as I know, was one of the first games to have a huge amount of multiple endings and the new game plus feature. That's as far
Hmm.
as I could tell you. Whether or not it's
I'm
true or not, I don't
yeah, I'm
know. If you
pretty
know a game that
sure.
came up before that one, please feel free to
Yeah,
tell me in the comments.
I'm pretty sure a game came before with multiple endings, and I'm pretty sure a game came before New Game Plus. But I can't think of any that came before with both New Game Plus
Yeah.
and multiple endings.
As
I
far as
could be
I'm,
wrong. I
like I
would.
said, as far as I'm aware, me personally, this was the first one. But like I said, I could be completely wrong on that one.
I would like to find out if there was, just for, you know, knowing more.
Hmm. But I'm just saying, like, this was the first one I experienced it with, and maybe it's just because I love it so much. That's why it really rings true to me.
Hmm.
So let's move on to another character. Princess Nadia, Marl, Marley, however you want to say her name.
The next in line to be ruler of Guardia.
Hmm.
That's go with that. She is the traditional tomboy princess who doesn't want to be princess.
Yeah,
Only
it's
she
kind of
decides
a standard stereotype with that one.
only she decides to rock out with a crossbow and actually is fairly decent at defending herself.
She also does what in close quarters combat. She hits enemies with the butt of her crossbow instead of just trying to shoot them close range.
Which I freaking love. The look of detail.
It's just a nice
But
little touch of animation and design difference, and
it
just
does impact her actual damage output too. Like the butt of the crossbow does not do as much damage as an actual crossbow shot, which
no. But at the same
fair
time,
enough.
it's more accurate to do that than try and shoot someone that's right in your face.
Hmm. She's also the first party member with the water element, only it manifests to her through ice. So the game decided to combine water and ice, like I said before, and I don't mind that generally.
It's just trying to keep a simple magic system, I find, and I'm okay with that one because it plays
Yeah,
into the rules of the game. It's not breaking anything.
yeah, it's not like Pokemon where the type doesn't really matter that much.
Yeah, as long as you're
She's
within the
also the
four elements, you're fine.
she's also your primary healer. She has the strongest single targeting healing spells, and she's the first person to, when two party members are have their action bars filled at the same time, if they are compatible, can do a dual attack and she's the first one with dual techs that can heal the entire party. So it's generally wise to have her for a large part of the game because
Especially at the start, just
she,
for healing purposes.
yeah, she's not the only healer. In fact, three out of the party members don't cannot heal HP, and one of those three can revive people when they pass out, but cannot give them back HP.
No, Chrono actually does learn revive, but I always just picture him just doing like a defibrillator pad. Buzz, wake up!
Are you awake yet? Are you awake yet? Colonel, please
But
stop shocking Frog.
her main drawback is she is not huge with physical attacks like any healer.
And her offensive magic is not that impressive.
It's better than some others, but that's not her main roll call.
Yeah, her main role is to be the primary healer, which, yeah,
And if you just want to keep a, excuse me a second. If you just want to keep a single a single target healer in your group that can heal somebody back to full HP in a second, yeah, she'll fill that role. Your other two party members can just whack the enemy till they die. So can't really complain on that point.
no, it works.
She also has issues with her father, the King of Guardia the 33rd, I want to say, or 34th, somewhere on that.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, the council was not
Also,
helping with that situation at all.
her family is known for very strong resemblances to each other.
Oh yeah, that came up later.
We'll discuss that in a minute. Let's get on to the next character.
One thing is that her mother has passed on, and that's one of the things that caused a rift between her and her father.
Mm-hmm.
But that comes up into the story for I want to say about a good chunk of it that there's an issue there. But moving on, we have Luca Ascher, the only character I know that actually has an established last name. But that's Marley with Guardia.
Yeah. Regardless, Marl and Luca are basically Kira took Bulma and split her design into two people.
Mm-hmm.
Because she definitely has Bulma's facial structure, while Marl definitely has one of Bulma's better outfits.
Luca is a inventor from Year 1000. She has made a bipedal robot that no one seems to really appreciate what that could indicate.
Name is Gato. Beat him up and win 15 silver points.
I'm sorry I couldn't mute him fast enough for that, folks. Actually, no, I'm not. I'm just glad I could make people suffer.
Yeah, I ended up firing that robot a lot for 15 silver points.
Her family also made the dragging tank, which
We'll discuss that. That's fun. Her family is arming the country for war. Little game 2. Regardless, her fighting style is she has a ray gun, and if things get too close, she uses that hammer. Much like Meryl, her hammer does less damage than her ray gun.
I just love it because it looks like she's playing croquet with that hammer when she hits somebody with it.
I love the clunk punk noise it makes.
I mean, she's not swinging it overhead to smash something head. She's really just trying to knock you away like you're a ball.
All I can picture now is her like, off with her head. But yeah, she uses fire magic, but even after learning magic, she still relies on gadgets. Her second best ability is a bomb she invents.
Bomb? Gary, boom!
Yep. So, honestly, she's just pure DPS. She has very little utility outside of...
Yeah, she is the only one she does have some status buffs, like she does know the spell Protect.
And she does have a sleep spell, I think.
Yeah, I know it's Marl with the haste spell, right? I want to say.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
She does have one of the reasons that she got into machinery and stuff like that is due to an accident with her mom that cost her mom the use of her legs. Her father built a machine. There was an accident with the machine, and her mother's legs is implied to have gotten crushed and mangled.
Or something worse.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go with crushed and mangled.
Yeah.
She also is the one that invents the gate key, which is how they open and access the portals after the early incident in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Next, we have Frog, or Glenn the Frog,
Or yep,
or a person who they
he
stole
is.
the best dialect from.
Yep. Um, Frog is the party member who joins from 600 AD, and in the original SNES and PS1 translation for Canada and wherever Soul's from, he spoke with a Shakespearean accent, and nobody else from his timeline did. And a lot of people did not like this, but I freaking loved it because I love when a character has a weird dialogue quirk. It just feels natural to me that some people don't talk the same, even people from the same era or same area. Mostly because where I live, there's so many different variations of English, French, and Irish accents, and you mush them all together, and you get people who have lived next door to each other for years, and they sound nothing alike.
He is also the wielder of the legendary sword, the Mazamune,
Yes.
which
Uh,
is a broadsword in this game.
so he never uses a shield, although a lot of the art Akira Toyama drew of him has him with a shield.
I think that might be a sprite or memory limit for that reason,
Yeah, it's a
but
possibility.
that's my reason for that.
Also, every single time he does his victory animation, he flexes his arm. I always think he's wearing the Earthworm Jim power suit, as I had literally started playing Earthworm Jim around the same time I played this game. So, two get mushed together. Frog is also a water elemental, but his manifests as actual water, like bubbles and streams.
hmm
He
Um,
also can heal people by licking them.
I find he leans a bit more into kind of like magical physical damage. Like he's more offensive than.
Yes. If Chrono is the lightning bruiser, he's more of the glacier bruiser. He's a bit slower than Chrono. He hits a little bit harder than Chrono at the start of the game, and because he is one of the first people to learn a AOE heal naturally, he's just fairly well rounded, and you can easily rely on him for the entire game if you ask me.
And he has a stash of senzu beans.
Those aren't Stenzu beans; those are flies.
I'm sorry. It's just it's a Kirito armor. It's a small bag that a character carries around with him. My brain says senzu beans are in
Yep,
that bag.
yep. But yeah, generally, Frog is one of the party members I end up using the most when I play the game. I barely use Chrono, Luca, or Meryl.
I just kept Chrono around
The,
because, like I said, he can do the most single target damage.
I don't know. I just found him kind of boring. The three characters we're going to talk about now are probably the ones I use the most.
Yeah. Glenn.
And that's one of the things. After Chrono disappears from the plot, if you skipped ahead, um, you can make the party without him, and you never have to add him back to the party if you never want to. So you can build your party as you wish. Which that's one of this is one of the first games I played where the party mixing was you didn't have to have the main character in the main party.
Mm-hmm. Especially the ones where you can lose the main hero altogether.
Mm-hmm.
He like as we said, he's from 600 AD. He was a, I guess he would be classified as a squire
He was more of a squire, yes.
to the legendary knight of Guardian named Cyrus,
Mm-hmm.
which we'll talk about him shortly. After a run-in with Magus, who killed Cyrus and cursed Glenn into a frog form.
Mm-hmm.
Glenn, feeling disgraced, letting his best friend die, not accomplishing his quest, kind of went into like semi-hiding because he returned back to Guardia, kept an eye on things, tried to help out when
Yep.
the queen went missing, but neglected to try and take any of his rightful glory for helping save the queen and return home.
Yeah, he is weighed down by the guilt of both being cursed and the bigger one, having lost his dearest friend in the world, the man he saw as the truest hero the country will ever know.
Mm-hmm.
He feels he is not worthy to stand in Cyrus's shadow. But that's the point of his entire character is he gets the Masamune very early on in the game, and it's said to be a legendary sword that can do great things. And after you beat Magus, you can find a caveman sword that's better.
Yeah, don't think too hard on that one because it's RPG mechanics.
But it actually isn't, though, because the sword is weak. It's because he's not able to tap into the sword's true potential.
Mm-hmm.
By
He
doing a side quest with the hero's grave, you get to not only help Cyrus move on, you help Frog move on, leading to him unlocking the Masamune's true potential and it being his best sword until the DS port, which gave him an additional bonus dungeon with an additional bonus sword.
Yeah, the DS added a few things. We'll discuss that near the end with each port,
But
but
I do like that about Frog a lot, is that even though he saved the day, we get to address he has personal issues.
yeah, it's one of the things I think this
Also,
game did well for a lot of characters, gave them issues, but never harp on it.
also, apparently in the original Japanese, he spoke very rudely, which I don't like the concept of him being rude. I like the idea of him referring to Chrono as Sir Chrono because he gallantly rescued a princess. I
Yeah,
do
Sir
not call that
Chrono and
guy a
Lady
sir.
Luca.
Yeah, it felt very natural, even if he didn't have. Even if you take the Shakespearean speech away from which, no, bring it back, God
Yeah,
damn it.
yeah, yeah. Put that back. That was actually awesome. I like that.
But him referring to them as sir and lady because they did valiant noble deeds, I like.
hmm But let's move on to our another party member, if they want to
Ah,
load.
endless darkness, or the nothing from the never-ending story. Oh, this is awkward. Oh, it wouldn't be a podcast without technical difficulties. Do you wish for assistance in finding an image of this character?
Just a moment, everyone. Okay, and this is Ayla, our caveman of the group.
Cave woman.
Yeah, cave woman.
Yeah,
She
she
is
is
from.
65 million BC.
Yeah, clearly.
She
They
is.
got great hair conditioner in that world.
Yeah, yeah, they really do.
Not to mention
She
great skincare.
is well, for lack of better words, the Amazon of the group. She has no magic abilities because she predates magic being a thing the world had. So she just punches really, really good. That
Now,
club she holds, just art. Never
yeah,
used in game.
like I like
But
the
one of
idea of her using it, but she pretty much
she
runs
does.
around on all fours and pretty much bashes you with both fists. No technique, just pure raw power.
That's not true, Soul. She does throw rocks. Don't worry, they're big rocks.
Or she gets a T Rex to smash you with their tail.
Even if you're in the distant, 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 distant future.
Don't look at us, folks. We didn't make the rules for this world.
I think what happened is she killed a dinosaur so badly it's haunting her, but she's also scared it so badly it works for her.
But she is
She,
the ruler of Ioka Village, if I'm pronouncing that right.
yeah, she is also the first one to naturally hit the damage cap with just physical damage.
Yeah, I think first by her crits, and then it's just her natural damage.
Yeah, she is almost as fast as Chrono, so she is even more of the lightning bruiser. But the thing is, she's also against physical damage. She just shrugs it off.
You hit her with magic, though.
Down she goes. She
Yeah.
and another character have absolutely no resistance to magic because they have no magic, which makes sense. But they both basically take any physical damage and just kind of like, what was that?
Yeah,
So,
her background is meh. I mean, she's
yeah.
mostly just in a war with the reptiles to keep her village, which is kind of like the last village of humans alive.
Or the first village of humans. It's iffy about that depending on the translation. They
Yeah.
either refer to humans being new or being invasive, which, humans being invasive. Never heard that before.
Oh God, no, not at all. But they are pretty much in a losing war with the reptiles, with only like a few of the villages actually being able to fight. Apparently.
Yeah. And very few able to fight to her level. Like, it's pretty much implied that anyone in her village who can fight doesn't even hold a candle to her. And she is the chief because she is the strongest, and that's all she cares about is strength.
Mm-hmm.
Now, not just physical strength, she cares about strength of will. Like, those who stand up and fight, Ayla respect.
Yeah, that's
If
why
you
she's with
could,
Kino.
yeah, the little dork has some backbone to him. She just likes when he doesn't.
Um,
It's also implied that she is the direct ancestor to Meryl.
Yeah. You'll that's gonna be a thing we'll talk about near the end of this. Is the direct line of descendants for
Yeah.
Laurel.
Regardless, she's one of my favorite party members just because the first time Chrono was removed from the party, I put her in and realized, oh wow, she's like Chrono, only better.
I used it for a different reason. I actually put her in the party after we got our gear stolen, and because she uses her fists, she can
She
actually
don't
still
care.
fight.
Yeah, which is a good way to just grind her up a bit.
I mean, she'll take damage out the ass without any armor on, but at least you can fight
Uh,
and not get sent back to jail.
yeah, and as soon as you get back at least your potions, you can start healing her again. Oh, she can also heal herself and others by kissing them.
Well, it's better than getting
Mm,
tongue from frog.
yeah, I guess.
Um, yeah, like I said, other than being in the War of the Reptiles, she doesn't really have that much of a backstory with her.
No, but because you help her out, she might as well go along to these weird, strange future places and help you. I wish she reacted more to the future, but she just doesn't seem to react much. Except for if you bring her to Chrono's mom, she calls Chrono's mom very strong and likes her.
I think she has the strongest reaction to Robo if you bring him to meet her, but
Yeah, that's about it. Speaking
next
of
up
Robo,
is our steampunk Robo.
doom,
I
doom,
love
doom,
this design for
doom.
him.
Robo is just so well designed. I had to use that image as body image for this episode.
I just love everything about this image.
Yep. I also just love Robo himself as a character. He is just so nice.
I have no idea why there's like half the design on him that there is, but it's still awesome.
A lot of this design did not translate well to the sprite,
The sprite
but
has two hands, no machine gun, laser gun, whatever the hell this is.
his backpack isn't the bright silver it is in the there.
And when he actually does excuse steam, it's kind of more from his chest area that opens up, which I love that idea.
Yep.
But I would love to
Regardless,
see the steam pack in Miss Steam as well.
yep.
But I just overall love his design.
One of my favorite parts of the design is the top of his head will swivel back and forth to look left and right, not his entire head. You can see where the black is, that's where the
Mm-hmm.
swiveling happens. He's a character from 2003 AD, and technically he's the fourth party member,
Mm-hmm.
but
You find him in like a semi-dismantled state. Luca fixes him up, and he joins the party.
yeah, despite the fact she's 1,000 years from the past, she's able to repair this robot who must be drastically different than anything she's built.
Well, that
But she
explains
gets,
a few things about his memory and such later on.
yeah, which you could infer that he's not leveling up, it's Luca getting understanding and repairing him better and better as we go.
Mm-hmm.
But for the sake
Because
of
he
gameplay
was
mechanics, he's
part
just
of
leveling up.
the RYXX series or something to that effect.
Mm-hmm.
And they were a series of robots made to. I'm not sure. It's kind of iffy on that point.
Yeah.
On one hand, it seems to imply that he was there to help mankind. The other
Mm-hmm.
one is that he was there, but put there by Mother Brain, not from Metroid, to enslave mankind.
Yeah.
What the
Yeah. Yeah, he's from the XR line, which makes me think the RX Gundams they're referencing.
ah? So there's a little bit. I want to say that the original design was to help humans, and Mother Brain took over that line.
Or she glitched off and went from helping humans to helping Lavos.
Yeah, there's a not. It
Yeah.
doesn't go too far deep into that.
No.
Only because because they're robots, they can be tampered with their memory. So it's kind of hard to tell exactly what is honestly true on that part. So having the exact accuracy on that point is a bit of a difficult situation.
Yeah. But as Robo is from the era post Lavos and is a machine, he doesn't have magic. He can simulate magic with shadow lasers, electric beams, fire bombs, a healing beam, but much like Ayla, he cannot take magic damage for anything.
No, but he does hit pretty hard. He does have a group heal, and his magic's, well, I should say his tech damage
Yeah.
is actually pretty solid. So he's a great choice to have if you're trying to build a team
Yeah.
with only one healer in the group.
Yeah. And because he has multiple elements built into one, he can cover a lot of situations where if you say you want a healer, but you don't want to have um,
I want to say he's
Ayla.
like the third in physical damage.
He definitely is the third in physical damage, and he is the first to max out in HP, I believe.
Mm,
He's also the slowest party member,
yeah, because
which works.
Ayla is definitely the most physically strongest.
Yep,
That I
he's
find
probably
is Chrono for me.
yeah. I find it's Chrono with his crits
Yeah,
and Robo with his
well,
base
especially with
damage.
the rainbow.
Yeah,
But we'll discuss that further down the line with equipment.
yeah. But regardless, Robo was. I used Robo for most of the game, so because of his multi, he's the Swiss Army knife, and I never wanted to lose by Swiss Army knife.
Yeah, a lot of them are pretty well rounded. Like none of them feel like they're specific just that. They're all semi well rounded. But
Yeah,
you do notice slight leans towards certain individuals.
which you would want in a game, so you have a reason to use every character.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm pretty sure, like I always use Frog, Ayla, and Robo for a large part of the near the end of the game, and despite the fact two of them are incredibly weak to magic, because I brought healers with me, and the other two have such high HP, and Frog has such high natural magic defense. Magic damage wasn't really that big of a deal. It could slow me down, but only for like a turn.
Honestly, I used Chrono, Frog, and Marl.
Yeah,
And at the end game, as like, oh no, I'm low on HP. Hey, Marl, Frog, could you fix that? Thanks.
yeah, yeah. Thanks. Honestly, I mean, Luca and Merle had the weakest physical defense, which makes sense. They're ranged fighters.
Mm-hmm. Now, as I said, he was from 2300 AD.
Hmm.
He has the connection with Mother Brain, who tried to use the humans to keep Lava satisfied so that he didn't go back into space to pretty much harvest another planet.
Why she's
Horrifying.
doing this, you could see maybe the greater good, or maybe she just has a thing for Lavos due to a little glitch in her programming.
Yeah, and I'm gonna mispronounce this out the ass, but Atropos,
Atropos.
yes, was kind of his robotic girlfriend. It turns
Yep.
out, and he
His
had to
original.
destroy her in order to protect the party and try and save what's left of his world.
Hmm.
Why Luca doesn't try and repair her? Yeah, go figure. Now the next party member is optional.
Yep. This is one of the first games I remember with this mechanic as well.
This is Magus, the Fiend Lord.
Yeah, the rival to Frog, who cursed him, and depending on your choices in game, he can join your party, kinda as the representative from the year 12,000 BC.
Yeah.
He is the only party member who is pure darkness. Robo has one darkness ability. Magus has at least three.
Mm.
But because Magus is a great mage, much like Robo, he is capable of casting other elements, including lightning, which is one of the reasons why I lean to the element being lightning, not light. He has a lightning spell, an ice spell, and a fire spell. These three spells he literally are the same versions as Chrono, Meryl, and Lucas. But that's just reusing animations. I don't mind that.
Yeah.
He
He
is.
got transported to the year 600, was raised by the three Fiend Lords of 600
Mhm.
AD, and became their, because of his magical talents, their lord and tried to conquer the world in order to resurrect Lavos and kill Lavos for ruining his family.
Which led to people in the distant future thinking he created Lavos, but no, he was just trying to bring Lavos up early to fight him.
Mm-hmm. Lavos actually crash landed back in, uh,
65 million
yes, yeah,
BC,
mm-hmm.
and Lavos is the reason why magic is a thing. Lavos is a parasite, but first it needs to build up its food before it eats its food.
Yeah, it's kind of the way we raise cattle.
Yeah. So he introduces magic into the human species, and after he's had enough of eating magical humans, he destroys the world, and his species is supposed to spread out throughout the world, keep doing this to different planets.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Magus's goal of destroying Lavos. Hey, that's a good idea. How he goes about it, completely fucking twisted.
Then again, given how he was raised, not that unexpected.
Magus is definitely a combination of Piccolo and Vegeta's designs. He clearly has Vegeta's face.
Well, I think it's the Widow's Peak that really sells it.
It's the Royal Speak that really sells it. But he does, that face does remind me of like Saiyan Saga Frieza Saga Vegeta. But
Yeah,
Piccolo's ears, the cape, the more mystic stuff. The hair, I don't know. That's just nice, nice white hair. But Magus is usually someone I kind of rotate in and out of my parties once I get him to join.
I kind of flip a coin whether or not I'm going to kill him.
Yeah, depending on also if you have Frog in the party, Frog can 1v1 him at the end, and then kill him. You get a reward for it, but the reward is not.
I think it comes down to whether or not I have Frog, because if I have Frog, it kind of feels more better to spare him, given
Honestly,
Frog's
yeah, I agree.
character development.
If Frog sparing him for the greater good is much more noble and knight-like, in my opinion. If I don't have Frog there, yeah, I kind of lean to just fighting him because you fight him before Lavos gets summoned and more time shenanigans happen, and he's a lot harder because uh, he's he's a fake out end of game boss,
Mm-hmm.
which
Plus, also the Masamune, based on how it was made, kind of absorbs magic.
yeah, so it's heavily implied to be designed to fight him, but it's not. It has its own backstory. But
Yeah.
regardless, I do like the rematch fight being a bit easier because you are stronger and he has been injured so much.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, when he joins you, he immediately stops being able to do the massive levels of damage he did before.
Sorry, I was. Um,
Still issues with him, which is no problem.
so really, he comes down to we'll discuss another character, and it kind of comes down to that character is a huge thing with him in 12,000 BC. But his time of origin is 12,000 BC. But because he was transferred at such a young age to 600 AD, everybody thought that's when he was born. So time shenanigans started even before we start the game.
Yeah, Lavos is somehow interfering with time. I don't think this is a thing Lavos normally does in its species life cycle.
I
I think it's
think it's
implied to be due to Magus's older sister.
kind of really one of the huge and the best and worst things about this game.
Mm-hmm.
And like I
Yeah.
said, we'll discuss the time shenanigans near the end. Don't worry, folks. It's going to be a headache.
Mm-hmm.
But let's move on to other characters.
Yep.
This is Kino. I'd like to call him Ayla's bride.
Yeah, that works. He's basically just caveman, good-natured, very worried people will steal Ayla from him.
Until he steals my time key, that prick.
Yeah, yeah.
He kind of gets jealous of the party and Chrono and Ayla liking the party. So he steals your time key and gives it to the Reptites. Figure that one out. Because that's a dick move no matter how you look at it.
Pretty much, yeah.
But so he just after that though, he kind of just really
There.
just becomes a side character and moves on past being jealous of Chrono because he realizes, hey, Ayla can like other people and still love me.
Yeah.
Which,
We can forgive him for not being bright. He is a caveman.
yeah.
From caveman times.
I mean, that's really all he really does after that, and he kind of becomes temporary chief of alias in our party.
Yep.
Um,
That's it.
One of the weird things though is implied at the end of the game. It's implied Ayla may be pregnant, which
Yeah. Which, at first, he thinks because she drank too much, but.
yeah, it's just kind of weird on that one. I mean, she wasn't very far along, so
Yeah.
um, there we go. This is Queen Zeal.
This is Magus's mom.
This is also Charlotte's mom, who we'll see in just a few moments. She
She
is
is.
completely off her goddamn rocker when we meet her.
After her husband, the King of Zeal, died, she started getting controlled by Lavos, went mad with grief, and Lavos took advantage of. We don't really
Went
know.
mad with power and grief. I mean,
She's
really, have you ever
just
tried going mad without power? It's boring.
really is. But in a sense, she becomes the secondary antagonist post Magus being the main antagonist.
Yeah, at when you first arrive in the actual kingdom of Zeal, you learn that Zeal is using the power of Lavos. And
Which
this,
you
after you know what Lavos does, sets off a lot of red alarms.
Why are all the klaxons going off at once?
Um, they have learned that their magic actually seemingly comes from Lavos, and that they only have a fraction of what power Lavos actually has. Terrifying as
She
that is.
she wants all of it.
Yeah, because apparently it also grants them immortality. Whether it actually
Or
will or not, I don't know,
I mean it kinda grants her immortality,
but
but she's probably even more crazy, so I don't know if it's worth it.
yeah, it's implied that her connection with Lavos drove her insane because Shala remembers her being a nicer person.
Magus's younger self don't remember her being nice. They just only remember her being a bitch.
Yeah, well, there's a huge age gap between Shala and Magus, so
Yeah, so that makes sense. I mean, Magus has literally no problem trying to murder his own mother.
well, to be fair, Magus has no problem murdering a lot of people, so let's not put that in the gate there.
I mean, you'd think there'd be a spark of humanity left in the guy, but this only humanity left is protecting his big sister.
So she literally pretty much tells you, yeah, Lavos is all great and powerful. He's gonna make me immortal. He's gonna re- pretty much revitalize. Well, I should say revitalize. Pretty much remake her kingdom in her image. Basic power mat stuff, and there's no return arc for her because she's that far
Nope,
gone.
nope. You if depending on how you go about the game, you can actually fight her as the semi-final boss,
Mm-hmm.
or you
There's
never have to deal with her at all.
Yeah, there's multiple branches for how you can handle all the situation. I usually deal with her because
It's satisfying.
yeah, it kind of is. I mean, I
It
feel
also
bad for her
it
being
also
controlled by Lavos, but at the same time,
it also gives the game a final dungeon.
mm-hmm, that you can complete like 4 different times.
Yes,
Weird as that is.
yes. And it's one of the few times Magus actually has impact on the story. If you bring him into the boss fight, not only does he have to give a big long speech, his boss theme overwrites her boss theme. And I freaking love that.
Jedzia looking inside like, wait, why are you playing his music? He's a cooler boss. Screw you.
But I'm a giant disembodied head with two floating hands.
And
So
he's Magus.
you're every Nintendo boss then.
Okay, Andrew, let's move on. But yeah, she's pretty much your crazy psycho cult leader that wants more power.
Yeah.
And she rules because it's even implied by the three gurus that she was a different person before
Yeah.
Lavos and her husband
Yeah.
situation.
They blame themselves because they're the ones that made the technology to communicate with Lavos, and yeah, it kind of is their fault.
Well, I get the feeling they were just trying to find out the source of magic and stuff like that, and I can't blame them on that one.
Yeah,
But when they saw what was going on, they should have stepped in a little bit more.
they should have definitely pulled that plug.
So next we have this is Shala or
Shala!
or Skyla, Shala, however you say her name.
Kara, betting on the L and R thing. But
Clearly a
yeah,
powerful mage and another person supposedly of Marl's descent ancestors.
which,
Raises a lot of questions
yeah, we don't know how if she had kids, if she did, who with.
because one of the main story
MacGuffin.
points is a magical necklace that Marl
Yeah,
has.
it's been passed down through her family for generations. It was Scala's originally. She either made it or she enchanted it, and upon seeing that you have an identical copy, she recharges it in a sense, I think.
It's made out of dreamstone and you recharge it at the Mammon machine, a
That was
machine
it.
drawing power from Lavos.
And only she can activate the Mama machine. Her mother's basically using her as a key to turn the locks to
Mm-hmm.
Lavos. She just goes along because that's her mother. She can't really talk back to her, but she
And
long.
the because she really cares about other people would suffer if she refuses, blah blah blah.
Yeah,
Standard story stuff on that end.
rock and a hard place for her.
Um
It's heavily implied that she has natural time magic, and Lavos wants that from her.
Because she's able to seal time gates.
Yeah.
Something not even Magus could do, apparently.
Nope.
Um, we only really interact with her in uh, the time of Zeal,
Yep.
and then she just kind of vanishes when Chrono dies.
Yep.
Which also leads into, I'm just going to say it, I don't like Chrono Cross.
Yeah. No.
Chrono Cross on its own, despite having some major flaws, is a game of its own standing.
I
What
generally feel Chrono Cross is a bad game, but
what really
Soul does have some points for it.
what really flaws to it for Chrono Cross is that it tries to be a sequel to Chrono Trigger with barely any connection to it, and a
Basically,
really overly complicated magic system, in my opinion. I mean, if you
yes, that's
understand the magic system, you could do some great things with it. But
one of the reasons why I consider it a bad game. It's not a very easy to understand and pick up and play game, and even when you do understand it, I know a lot of people feel it's overly complicated, so not fun.
and that's all I'm going to say about that right now because that's not the focus of this.
Sala does show up in the DS extra boss fight with the Time Eater, which is Lavos and her kind of fused.
Mm-hmm. Which just raises even further questions.
Which apparently was done completely to better bridge the gap between Chrono Trigger and Chrono Cross.
Yeah, that's one of the few things I dislike about the DS game.
Because it involves two Magases.
Ugh.
Yeah, no. Generally, I like the idea for being a mystery, but I do not want that mystery solved, and Chrono Cross tried to solve it.
Or at least I don't want it solved the way Chrono Cross tried to.
Yeah, yeah. Regardless, she's supposed to be a tragic character, and she is supposed to be what humanizes Magus.
Mm-hmm.
Whether or not he does is up to your
Because for everything
interpretation.
that Magus has done, he's done it all to try and save his sister.
Mm-hmm.
Noble,
Or,
but
well,
hugely misguided.
As soon as he found out he could the time travel was an option for him. Before that, he just wanted bloody revenge.
Yeah, here's the little wanker here.
Yeah, this is Janus.
Janus, whatever hell you pronounce that.
The boy who basically predicts that Chrono's going to die.
Yeah, well, the Black Wind howls. One among you shall shortly perish.
His mother did not care for him in the slightest because he did not present any mystic abilities, but it's heavily implied that he always was going to be a powerful mage. He was just in kind of shock from being around a bad mother.
Yeah, and Shala really does care for him, so Shala's more of a mother figure to him than anyone else.
Because it's implied as soon as he gets launched into the future and meets the fiends that he almost immediately unlocks his magic abilities. So, meh.
That's also not to say he doesn't have a bit of a chip on his shoulder because he doesn't understand why Shala's so nice to people, including the servants.
Yeah, no.
And that's really important about this little prick.
Mm.
I can't quite place who this could be.
I like his boots.
I think it's purple pants, and his pale skin, and his
red eyes
and his hair. That I get the feeling I've seen this before somewhere.
Yeah, I freaking love that Magus, when he gets sent back in time, to even before he gets sent to the future, he realizes where he is. He knows what's going to happen because he was a pretty smart kid. He still remembers stuff, so he pretends to be a prophet by predicting things that he knew were always going to happen because of history.
Mm-hmm.
And it
does
encourage
to get close to Zeal in order to try and change time, instead of going to his sister, explaining things, and trying to change things.
Or I don't know. As soon as he got close to the queen, just pulling that scythe out and just off with her head.
To be fair, part of the reason why any of this even happens is his fault.
Yeah, he kind of he becomes self-prophesizing.
And it's just, if it wasn't so tragic, I would call it poetic justice, I think.
Here's the thing, though. It was never supposed to happen this way because he doesn't remember there being a prophet when he was a kid, but he remembers all the things he prophesizes as a kid. So you can't alter time. He just didn't alter time well. It's like he decided to double down.
I
Breath of,
mean,
I don't know.
and the rest of the party is just looking at us like, really? You
Yeah,
wonder why we kill you half the time.
yeah,
Like I like the plan. I just think you needed a better one,
yes,
or at least better details to it.
yes. Okay, maybe not go to your sister and tell her, but tell the gurus, like, I'm not actually a prophet, I'm from the future. Everything you guys did fucked up.
Or like, listen, I gave the queen false prophesization. Here's what's really going to happen, and we need to stop it. Like, if you're not going to tell them the truth, give them enough of the information to say, yeah, this is all going to go to shit. We need to fix it.
Yep.
But no, hey, let's play this out so I can try and kill Lavos again.
Turned out well, stupid. That's where the Vegeta comes in. He has to be the one to get the kill. So now I can picture his Magus going, mine, 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 as soon as Lavos appears.
Yeah, it's like, we'll discuss that when we get to there because that's going to be a whole thing about the time system. Ah, Masa and Mune.
Yeah, the sword has two spirits inside of it.
They're called dream spirits. We have no information other than that about them.
Yeah. Not really much to
Apparently,
go on.
they do have a sister. I forget her name now.
Okay. I don't know why you brought them up.
It's Mora. I think it's Mora because it goes to Mora Mazamune. They are literally the two spirits that were created that fused with the Mazamune back when it was just a ruby dagger, and create the Mazamoon in order to power it up in order to try and stop the Mammon machine. Um, when the ruby dagger was stabbed into the Mammon machine, the ruby dagger evolved into the Mazamune. Hence the connection it has with Lavos and why it devours magic when it hits things.
Yep.
Which all interconnects, and it's really kind of ironic because that's the weapon you pretty much used to beat Magus' ass with.
Yeah.
They also really whimsical. I think it's Mazda that wants to be the wind, or is it? I forget which one. Which?
I don't know. The sister's name is Dory.
Okay, thank you.
Probably it is. He was aiming for Dory.
But they clearly know more than they tell, and they just play along with things because you only
They're
see
the
him so few times.
they're very fake children like.
Yeah. I enjoy it when they pop out and talk things and when they fuse into that big monster to test you.
I don't like that monster form. It's weird.
Eh. Now we have this asshole. This is Dalton from Zeal.
He's not a very important character, but the game keeps trying to make an important character, especially in Chrono Cross. He becomes a kind of an important character. This dude is the general of Zeal. He's not loyal at all to the queen. He's just loyal because she's in charge. As soon as she's out of the picture, he tries to take over. He steals your time machine, upgrades it to fly, kidnaps all the party, strips them their gear. You destroy his giant airship, and that should be the end of his storyline. But apparently, in one of the endings of Chrono Trigger, he comes to the future and destroys Guardia after Meryl and Chrono become rulers. And
I just don't buy that.
I don't like it.
This man is
He's
an idiot.
he is the joke commander. He's there probably because of nepotism.
Look,
That
I
is
can't
all I
tell who
want.
the bigger joke character is, him or Ozzy.
Him, because at least Ozzy fights you twice in a sense. Like Ozzy is more competent.
I don't know, I think that's a hard sell, but I'm just saying.
Like the most competent thing this guy does is he sees your time machine, makes it into a flying machine because he wants it to be his chariot, unaware that he's modifying a time machine.
Fair. But in game, he tries to summon golems that don't work. He gets stuck to his own portal.
Yeah, which is apparently how he gets sent through time.
I just really that hurts my brain thinking that he's the reason for Guardian's downfall.
Yeah.
So it's just no. Now, this old man is one of the three gurus from Time to
Balthasar.
Zeal.
I'm pretty sure that's Balthasar, right?
Yeah, I believe it's Balthasar. I think
Yes.
that's how you pronounce it.
Yep, that's Balthasar. Yep. He is the inventor of the time machine.
And his best friend is a new.
They're the weird blue thing behind him. They're, according to them, all life begins and ends at new.
He is the creator of the epoch,
That's your time machine.
and
Uh,
he is transported into the far-flung future, where he
he's
lives
the one who
alone with nothing but his newest company building the epoch.
he kind of goes a little crazy and lonely. But
Yeah.
regardless, he builds all of the big machines for Zeal. The giant airship Dalton has, the helps design the Mammon machine. He makes the ocean palace where they store the Mammon machine to get as close to lava as they can.
Mm-hmm.
Each at the big gearhead.
Yeah. Um, Beyond that, there's not too much really said about him, so we'll move on.
He puts his memories in a new, and then asks for the new to be shut down because he's tired of living.
Which raises the question: what the hell is a new? But we never get that answer because you see one in 65 billion BC.
You see a few actually, but yeah,
Now this is the counselor.
Chancellor, Chancellor. Counselor refers to someone like you have counselors at school. Chancellors are advisors to kings. There is a difference.
He is the shortest man in this game, actually.
There's more. He's more hat than man.
He's more beard than man.
But yeah, both. There are two chancellors in game.
One from 600 AD and one from 1000 AD.
His family has a habit of being kidnapped and imposed, and have monsters impostor them.
Spoilers, and this game had spoilers.
You've already done worse for spoilers than that was.
I know. I just wanted to say that.
Regardless, it's a bigger shock the second time it happens, which it really shouldn't be.
No, but at the same time, you didn't think it was going to happen a second time.
No, because it's stupid. But it was so stupid it was smart.
To be fair, the Mystics' ability to disguise themselves is one of their biggest advantages.
But it doesn't seem to be something that all of them can do, so fair enough. Regardless, it does lead to Meryl and her father reconnecting, which is good. But it also involves Meryl almost deleting herself from history.
And Chrono being on trial for a justice system they made,
Yep.
which is like, oh my god. Because after you save Queen Lene in 600 AD,
Yep.
the Chancellor talks about making a justice system, which pretty much is you make the jury system for Guardia.
Which, having someone say, I'm going to make a justice system. Is the kingdom 600 years old? Yes.
And then when you
Now,
return, Chrono's put on trial for kidnapping the princess, being judged by the very same system you helped create. And the court system is kind of an interesting thing because based upon things you do at the Millennium Fair, which was happening 1000 AD as a celebration for the defeat of Magus,
mhm.
you could either get guilty or not guilty verdicts. And I love it that I finally figured out how to get a full non-guilty verdict from all, I think it's 7 judges?
Yeah, I believe it's not a number of judges, yes.
And I was like, I always thought one was always supposed to vote guilty no matter what, but it's like, it feels like it kind of tricks you on that one. Which is just a neat little thing, but it's not very important. But let's move on because that's really all you can say about the Chancellor is that he helps the King and Marl reconnect and life moves on.
I don't even know why Sol brought him up.
Eh,
I think he just wants to fill airtime.
damn
Here's
right.
Cyrus. This is Cyrus.
I like his design.
Honestly, he looks like he would have been like the lead character in a Dragon Quest game.
Yeah, this is definitely Akira Toriyama's Dragon Quest designs for armor and stuff like that.
Yep. I like it.
I just think that's a terrible small handle for a sword like that.
Yeah, Akira Toriyama doesn't really do swords well. Trunks' sword has a lot of problems.
Specifically where it came from, but we'll move on from that.
That hurts worse than the Divine Travel in this game.
Cyrus was the Was he? I don't think he was the head captain. I think it was kind of more above that as like the hero of Guardia when he was around.
Yeah, he was the big deal. He was the most skilled knight at the time.
Hmm. And Glenn was his best friend and squire, who even Cyrus said was better with a blade than he was. So that's saying something.
But at the time, Glenn did not have the heart of a warrior.
Hmm.
He was too gentle and kind, which Cyrus did not want him to lose his gentle kindness. He was like, once this war is over, we need people like you, Glenn. I'm just a soldier. All I'm good for is fighting.
Uh,
Which,
and
yeah,
then once they got to fight Magus, it's a possibility that he was not a good match for the Masamune.
he was not. They actually say he can't bring out any of his magic or any of his abilities. He's a damn good swordsman. He was able to win the right to the sword with just his pure skill, but he and the sword did not match.
And that's one of the reasons why Magus was able to defeat him. Had he been a match for the Masamune, I think time would have been very different.
Yeah,
So going down that road, he really his ghost helps Glenn kind of repair his self ego. I want to say, but once after you repair Cyrus's grave, which is the grave of the hero, that's really all he comes around for. After
yeah,
that, he's no longer in the
he,
story.
yeah. He helped Glenn get over his issues, unlocks the Masamune's full power. It's nice.
Hmm. I mean, for when he appears, he does have good content for the story to help move it along, but he
Hmm.
doesn't overstay the welcome, which I find very well done in this game. Nothing feels like it overstays, except for Dalton.
Yeah.
Now, this little tyke is Tata.
Seriously, so are you going to go through every character? You are
Yes, yes,
waiting.
I am.
I have things to do, man.
That's your problem, not mine. Basically, he found the hero medal from Glenn, took it, and everybody thought he was the big hero. There, we move on. This is Marl's father, King Guardia 34th, I want to say.
It looks like Xanto to the King from 600 AD.
Yeah, there's a lot of questions about inbreeding with the royal family at this point.
Or how strong their genes are. I don't quite get it.
Yeah, there's just a lot of questions on that one because Marl looks exactly like Queen Leenie from 600 AD, just younger.
Mm.
This is Chrono's mom. We've already said pretty much she's just there to be so shocked.
There.
Well, actually, she doesn't even really have shock value with Chrono's friends. She just kind of accepts it.
Yeah. Most she gets shocked by is Ayla's lack of clothing.
And she thinks robots want to Lucas' inventions, which I don't blame her because she already made gatos, so there's that.
Yeah.
This is Melchior. I'm not quite sure how to say this
Mel-
one's name.
Melchior.
Melchior. He is a weaponsmith of great renown from Zeal. He wound up in
Mel-
1000 AD.
Melchior, Balthasar, and the Third Guardian are all named after the three wise men from the Bible. I think
And
he's the one who gives myrrh.
he honestly seems to be the one that actually recognizes the group first
Yep.
and tries to help them along the way without changing anything.
Yep.
I
He
wish
is the
people would
master.
try and change that more often.
He's the master swordsmith. He also feels the most like King Kai from Dragon Ball.
He also made the Masamune.
Yep.
Well, technically made the Ruby Knight that became the Masamune, but same difference.
Yep. He will also craft Chrono's level weapon.
Hmm.
The
Well,
Rainbow.
until the DS version.
Yes. Rainbow, which is not a rainbow sword, it's a bright pink sword.
Purple.
It's pink.
I
Everyone
know.
knows it's pink, so.
I know. Um, he lives over in by the village of Mystics. Kind of an odd place for a human to want to live.
Yeah.
This is Johnny. He appears shortly for 2300 AD. He wants
He's a
to race you because he can turn into a bike.
He's a minigame. Fun minigame.
And technically, you don't even have to do it because you can technically just walk the race course and get to the other side.
This is just a curatorium I wanting to draw robots again and
Yeah,
cars
he
at the
has
same
fun with
time.
that.
He does.
I just really enjoyed the minigame because if you do it right, you could literally just keep have him eat your dust the entire time.
Yep. But I know
So
so many people who struggle with that minigame.
it's just about how you use the boost and get ahead of him. Because once you get ahead of him, if you can like figure out where he's going, he's not hard.
Yeah.
Now, this is one of the best things that came with the game. They had art for this game that was phenomenal from Akira Toriyama. This is
Mm.
the Epoch, your flying time machine.
I love Frog in that image so goddamn much. I also love Luca, who's basically like, ooh, look at the time stream.
They're all just having a great time. I mean, even Chrono's having fun.
I have no idea how to fly this. It looks like Chrono and Luke are having the time of life, and Frog is having some sort of panic.
Why did I agree to this?
Did we just hit a dinosaur?
It's also implied
What
that
have we
the
changed? What
Epoch
have
kind of
we
has a will of
changed?
its own because it follows you around.
Yeah, it can show it when you don't travel with it.
Yeah. Like, look at, did we leave that thing at 600 AD?
You also can wreck the thing by going to the 1999 when it can fly and ramming it into lava, skipping one
Which
of.
is another way of kind of affect one of the endings.
Yeah, it will also skip a boss phase.
Yeah.
I never do it because I love the Epoch too much.
I did it once or twice just for the ending and see what changed, which it kind of makes sense.
Yes.
So, this is your ride for 2300D when racing Johnny.
You never have to bring Ayla here, so this is just fan wankery, and I love it. See, she's much more calm about traveling at high speeds than Frog is.
Indeed. I love the fact it's like a car and a bike all in one with a hover vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
And you see with the hair, that's even more currently looks even more like Gohan.
Yeah,
But that's just how it's stylized in here because of the wind. But
and with that, Ayla's hair looks a lot more like Blanche's from Dragon Ball, so there's her inspiration.
um, now this creature here is when the first form we're introduced to Lavos.
It's some sort of space hedgehog, pine cone, turtle.
Of death.
Yeah.
Literally, what it does is it travels to a planet buried deep beneath the core, stays there, introduces magic into the system to build up its food, ravages the planet when it's ready to reproduce, and it's awfully just kind of fuck off to another planet.
Yep. So, I don't know if it has an eyeball in its mouth, but I like to think that blue dot in its mouth is an eye.
Yeah,
Also, the way it arrives by being a meteorite.
yeah.
It's what killed the dinosaurs.
Lavos is pretty much from Ayla's language. La meaning fire, Vos meaning big.
Mm-hmm.
So it's pretty much one of those things where it's pretty much big fire because it fell from the sky as a giant fireball.
You gotta admit, the space parasite knows how to make a goddamn entrance.
Yeah. It pretty much lands directly on the Reptites kingdom,
Yep.
wipes out the Reptites, and causes the Ice Age.
Which will kill off the reptiles that survived.
Yep.
Because it's too cold. Like, the reptiles are smart enough to realize that this will cause an ice age.
Yeah, they realize they are pretty much fucked.
Yeah.
I hope you humans go with us. Well, you're a dick.
So if you defeat Lavos before doing any of the 65 million BC stuff, you end up making Dinosaur World as one of the endings.
One
And
of the
that's
endings
so
you also
stupid.
make Moro a frog person because Frog takes over for King Guardia.
So random.
This entire thing with Hydro points is completely random, so
Yeah. A lot of the endings are funny. Most are more fan rankery what ifs.
this is Lavos' second form.
Which really feels like Cell was like second form and maybe a little bit of semi-perfect and imperfect Cell were both kind of meshed into this.
Yeah.
I like it. This is my actual favorite form of Lavos.
It definitely feels alienish.
Yeah, this is inside that shell thing. So in the first phase, you fight the shell and or crash the epoch into it, and this is the second phase you fight. It's
Yeah, Lavos is
inside.
definitely a very, very weird physiology.
Yeah, essentially everything you know about if you're a big fan of Final Fantasy VII but haven't played Chrono Trigger. Well, you're really backwards in my opinion. Basically, everything Genova is, Lavos is kind of creepier and cooler in my opinion.
Not to mention, I got a lot of questions about what all these holes in his hands and arms are for.
I always got the impression that either they're release valves for magic to corrupt the world, or he has Cell's tails inside there going to pop at any minute to drink the party.
I have so many jokes for that. I don't know which one to go with, so we'll just move on.
I just like the additional arms that are kind of coming out of his head, holding more pipes into him to drink more of the world.
Now, this psychedelic trip is Lavos' final form.
Where he's gone from being organic to feeling really robotic, in my opinion, with two nodes, one that'll constantly heal and one that'll constantly attack.
Now, spoiler alert if you know how to beat this boss, one of the nodes is the actual form you gotta defeat.
Mm-hmm.
This is a red herring, and I
Yep,
love it for it.
Yep. It's very space cosmic horror to make you think something else is something.
Mm-hmm. Because you can kill this one and this
Endless
one,
times.
and then you gotta kill this one. Because this one actually has an effect that raises the defense of these two,
Yep.
so you can barely damage them until this is taken care of.
Yep.
But once you kill this one, you think, oh, the battle is over. This one can revive these two in an instant.
Yep. Back to full HP too.
Yep. And I did. And when you first battled, and you did not know that. That was a dick move.
Yep. It actually makes the final boss difficult your first time playing if you're not prepared for it.
And I love it all the more for that, just for that fake out. Because you honestly think this, because this is the different form, and this is
Hmm.
just attacking, and this one's pretty much just defense and healing.
The
It
middle
leads you
one,
to believe
I
this is what you got to kill.
the middle one I would describe as a repository of the Earth's memory. It's able to use attacks and attack patterns from previous bosses throughout the game.
Mm-hmm. In
In
fact, when
fact, I
you're
believe
fighting the shell, it pretty much takes you through the airs and using all the bosses through those airs attacks.
it's a very trippy background. It's honestly a way better background than the fight with like Kefka, which is just clouds.
Yeah, now just in case YouTube kind of screws with it because that was a GIF and YouTube decides to take that out, this is Lavos' final form. Um, so, and it's pretty much showing with his arms down too, so you get a better look at it.
Hmm.
The note on the right is his real form. These two
The
are red herrings.
the center node's head, it looks like it has a little mouth that keeps opening and closing underneath its visor or its
Mhm.
glass
And it
cannon.
looks like there's an
Or it's an
eye
eye.
right there.
It's either a mouth or an eye. I don't know what it is, but it moves in the fight.
Yeah. But it really, this whole design really leads you to believe, especially when you fight other bosses, what's on the left and right are pretty much extensions, and what's in the center is the true body. So
Mm,
the game even leads you to believe that.
mm,
And this note on the left has an ability that increases the defense of these two. And you got to kill this note or to lower their defense so you can do decent damage to it. Because until then, you do like 1 point of damage per attack on these two.
yep.
And then once you kill this thing decides to pop a revive and bring these two back at full health the next turn.
Yeah, it's a lot of. Well, it really does feel like a rush when you're down to the last node.
Mm-hmm. So it really does. At the first, when you first defeat this, you think, "Oh well, the game's over." Revive. Wait, what? I thought that was
Yep.
the no crap.
Honestly, if you're not prepared, the three phases of Lavos are kind of a gauntlet for
Mm-hmm.
supplies. So I know a lot of people who had to crash the epoch just so they would have like enough potions and tonics for the.
Mm-hmm. But I'm just saying, I just love the fake out, and the game literally leads you to believe what's in the center is the main boss. It's a well done fake out to just alter your perception for it.
Mhm.
So kudos to the game for that touch for it. Now, Akira Toriyama did a other, I would call it like fan art because that's what I think he was doing with this.
Yeah, he was just having fun.
Yeah, this also represents one of the endings.
Yep.
because in one of the endings, I think if you defeat Lavos before a certain point, I forget what the exact point is, but it's before you, I think it's before you fight Magus, but you
Mm.
get Glenn. You come here while Luke is repairing Robo. Frog goes off and decides to go fight to take care of Magus.
Yep, all by himself.
And this is a running theme that Chrono likes to sleep a lot because
Lazy head.
at the start of the game he sleeps in, like all teenagers do. But this is pretty much like a good example of Lucas Haas at a time period because 1000 AD is a weird and interesting time period for this world.
Yeah, the technology is flip floppy. What they have, what they shouldn't have, and what they do have.
Because
And,
they have refrigerators, most definitely. Running water
but
because they have sinks and everything like that.
the refrigerator is clearly like powered by some sort of hose.
Um,
They've got
but whether or
swords and
not they have
shields.
actual electricity for light bulbs and shit like that, that's up for, I think, is questionable.
Yeah,
Um, they have knights with, but they have knights with swords and shields, but no gunfire.
but they have a tank that's shaped like a dragon with a flamethrower in it.
Mm-hmm. So
Luca has a flamethrower herself.
Luca
She
has a
has,
gun, a
you
pea
know,
shooter, but it's still
a
a
gun.
concept towards that. You think they would have evolved on that idea?
It's like a ray gun too, from the sound it makes.
Well, I remember the one from 600 AD is called a pea shooter. So even then they had a gun,
Yeah,
which just
she's
raises
also.
further questions.
What raises even further questions is that she can buy multiple guns in 65 million BC.
Which just raises further questions how the humans are losing a war. But once
It
you
just,
ignore that, this is pretty much just awesome art.
yeah, it just is. Like, we may joke that Akira Toriyama reuses faces and whatnot, but the dude knows a layout. That's
Mm-hmm.
what his art is really good for. It's for fine detail like this. For him, it's just like, oh, I don't want to draw human faces. That's boring. And I'll just reuse these. Done. Now for all the fun stuff.
Like the sword, like the katana, the robot here, which clearly has a lot of detail to it.
Like, he went nuts on Robo's detail in this image. Like, you
And I
didn't,
love the detail on his head, like because his hat comes off in two pieces.
you know,
His eyes are still there, the circuitry there, plugged into God knows what.
you know, like the hose on the fridge is a level of detail most would not even consider, but he's like, nah, I'm gonna draw that.
I like the little dial pan on the front that's like, what is this for? Is this the ice dispenser?
You know,
And then you got the old grandfather clock in the corner.
and then the background behind Chrono, like, this is what I love about Akira Toriyama. Like, I will tease him to no end about his lack of designs for humanoids, but my god, do I love his art.
And then massive amounts of books tells you a lot about Luke, how she is.
The actual layout of going beyond the border of the images too, kind of really nice.
Mm-hmm. And like I said, the wires going off the layout, this whatever the hell this thing is.
Like, there's only one problem with this podcast that we really can't convey as well about Chrono Trigger.
Hmm?
We can't show how good the music is.
Oh god, we'll talk about that in a few moments.
Okay.
I just really like showing off this art, and I will do it till as long as I want.
Okay.
This makes me feel like this is the 6500 BC again, or 65 million BC.
But there's the future bike.
Yeah, that just raises a lot of questions because by the time that thing exists, none of this wildlife should be here.
Yep.
But it's still just an awesome art thing, and Chrono needs to get new socks.
Yeah.
Like,
I just like how it curls up into a ball. It's cute.
But I like how there's only 2 cans of food out because Robo, as a robot, would not be able to eat this. Oh no, those 3 cans. I guess Chrono or Ayla just ate an extra can.
Well, she is eating for 2.
Fair. And then you see the little dinosaurs, the big ape thing,
With wings.
the little fuzzy things. New.
Life begins and ends at new.
And I'm sorry, but I just don't think Chrono would sleep that far away from his katana. But that's just a me thing.
I like to think he fell asleep and Robo laid him down to sleep.
But
Like this, like that angle really makes Chrono look like he has Super Saiyan hair, though.
mm-hmm. But this is just one of those little art concepts. Like I think one of the ideas of like this was used for a mode of transportation in the game.
Yeah.
but
Well,
maybe because of limitations or lack of other things, they just put it as a little game thing.
there was a fair bit of limitations for this game, what we can discuss near the end if you want.
Yeah. Um. Once again, we have Ayla's club that she never uses in game.
It's just firewood now.
Yeah, but it's just this is just the things that I love about this art style, that it just really just is fun to look into. Like every time I see that, I see new details I just love about it.
Mm-hmm.
Now this is the cover art for the game. This is the box art.
That's a nice example of dual tech, except for one problem.
Marl is not a fire mage. And this is what they
Also,
use for the cover art.
also, this entire image inspired the DS bonus dungeon.
But I like the changing clothes for the winter that they're scene that they're in.
Yeah,
The
I mean,
gloves, the cloaks. Marl put on a jacket.
I mean, and also boots over her sandals.
Mm-hmm. It also makes me think she like relate to Cypher from Castlevania, where she using her fingers.
Yeah, I just feel really bad for Frog. He's cold blooded.
Amphibians aren't cold blooded.
I thought they were.
No,
I thought they would freeze and fall asleep very easily.
they're just very susceptible to cold because of the mucus on their body, but they're not cold blooded.
Oh, well, I learned something new today. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. But just let's discuss now for a moment. Dual text and triple text are one of the best things about this game.
But by the end of the game, after you've done New Game Plus, they're also pretty useless.
Yeah, by the time you learn their final spells, they look cool and they can have some interesting effects, like Luca, Marl, Ayla able to have almost like 100% steal chance using a triple.
Yep.
But damage wise,
Yeah.
they fall off somewhere around the time I want to say about 3/4 of the game they stop being useful damage wise.
Yeah. Mostly because you're giving up 3 actions for 1 attack.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas.
And the biggest reason for that is the damage cap of 9,999.
Yeah.
No attack can exceed that damage.
No one attack can exceed that damage. As Chrono has several attacks. Because Chrono has 1 attack that does multiple attacks in 1 action,
Mm-hmm.
that's how he breaks the cap.
And he's the only one that does it.
Yep. Which definitely feels along the lines of we never planned for this. It just sort of happened.
Now, if there was no damage cap, that could change a whole lot about it.
Or if the triple text had bonus effects as well. Like, one of my favorite ones is Robo, Luca, and Magus have a giant death laser from the sky. By the time you do all the things to unlock this ability, yeah, Robo is already doing pretty much high damage. Magus himself can probably already do 99999 with his magic, and Luca's magic is alright. So you're basically just gimping yourself.
And the biggest problem with Magus, to get him to do... Magus, as far as I know, does not have any double text.
Nope, he only has 2 triple texts, and both of them require
An
a
item
quest
slot to be taken up.
Yep, which there are so many better items to have than that.
Mm-hmm.
And they involve a slight quest, which can get you some other good stuff, but again, you're gimping yourself.
Well,
you
to be fair, one of the quests is just have Frog in your front of the party while an enemy throws rocks at him.
Oh, yeah, that was stupid.
Yeah.
That was a very goddammit quest of, I think.
That was kind of a just do this random thing. I'm like, who would have thought just to stand here to have a Tengu throw rocks at you?
Yep. Regardless, it's another example of basically we have a really cool idea, but we didn't implement it very well.
Mm-hmm.
That basically, I feel like that and Final Fantasy V are very much in common because you can really destroy Final Fantasy V with very little effort when it comes to how you make your party.
Yeah.
Like, you do not need to do some convoluted shit. You just need to realize that Ninja dual wield and Archer 4 attack means you 8 attack.
Mm-hmm.
Give them the best weapon, and 9,999, 9,999, 9,999.
Just watch the enemy cry in disrepair.
And then you get to find out that the Red Mage has dual cast, which lets you cast the same spell twice, and then Mimic can then mimic that, so you just have Meteor, Meteor. I'm going to copy that. Meteor, Meteor.
I'm going to copy you, copy that.
Yeah, that's basically how I beat X-Death for the stream. I had one person who wasn't a mime, and everyone else just mimed.
But at the
Yeah.
beginning, dual techs, and when you started locking them just to see what they are awesome things to watch. Like the animations for them are nice.
Yeah. And they are usually the best way to get healing for AoE healing for a while
Mm-hmm.
because
Because your
uh
first one is Aura Whirl, which is
which
Chrono's
is
Cyclone and Marley's Aura, just pretty much combined to spread the healing.
yep, that's your first AoE heal, and it's literally the first dual tech Chrono and Meryl get.
Mm-hmm. I do like that you can learn them as they gain abilities. It's not instantly. You have to
Yep.
actually. You don't have to use them, but they have
Yep.
to be in the party together when they have those abilities,
Yep.
which is a nice touch because you don't know what you specifically combine for certain attacks.
Yep.
That might take a little too long, but I wouldn't be opposed to that either.
And lots of them do just either turn a single target attack into an AoE attack or vice versa, I find,
Mm-hmm.
which is nice sometimes.
Or is a nice way to get some extra damage if Chrono is attacking. You can combine the elemental damage and do extra damage.
Yup, especially if they're resistant to physical damage. Like, you could even make Ayla, who has no magic ability, all of a sudden she does have magic damage.
Mm-hmm.
And as she often is stronger than most party members, it lets her keep up with the rest. So that part I do like. Like, one of her abilities is Chrono striking her for lightning and she just tackles the enemy while charged.
But like I said, the damage limit capacity is what kills it.
Yeah,
The largest
really
amount.
does. Yeah.
Because you're wasting a turn to do, say, 999 with one chance with two characters rather than two characters doing
800, 800.
yeah. So
It is more than one can do, but not as much as two can do.
mm-hmm.
Now, the ones that turn a AoE single target heal into an AoE heal, or turn a mediocre heal into a stronger heal, those are good for a long point of the game until eventually Frog and Robo themselves, their normal heals, start doing as much as
500 at least.
yeah, do it. Like if you do New Game Plus, partway through New Game Plus, Robo's heal wave goes from being pretty decent heal the whole party to it's max healing the entire party. Why do I need Frog and him to team up to do that?
Mm-hmm. And once you're at that point, the dual and triple decks just kind of feel like
Yeah.
too much icing on the cake at that point.
And sometimes it might save MP, but it's very easy to get items that reduce the cost of MP abilities anyway. So screw it. Just give Frog give Robo the reduced MP ability, and he's just
Yeah,
fully healing
one
everyone
time
every
I did a
turn.
challenger on New Game Plus of just selling all my equipment and recollecting it just for something new.
Yeah,
Your stats and everything of that from previous games just trounce anything.
yeah. The stats are more important, I find, than the weapons. Unless you equip the joke weapons, which reduce your attack power drastically.
I'm gonna beat Lavos with this map.
What the? Hold still, Mr. Lavos. I'm cleaning you to death. Didn't you
Yeah.
have been a cleaning your clock joke? That felt beneath me.
Now this is another nice piece of art with a very good party combination.
Yeah, that's usually my party when I go into Zeal for the first time.
I think this
Because
was my first party going to.
they're the first one to learn triple technique, where it's basically 2 slashes and a robot tackles you.
Yeah, X Slash was definitely the first of my favorite dual techs.
Mm.
Actually, I
Which is
think
just... What are the early dual techs you get? Yeah.
yeah, because it was Mars Aura was usually the first one.
Yep.
Fire Slash was the second one because that was Lucas Flamethrower and Chronos.
Cyclone, yeah.
Yeah,
And then
or
Wind
Fire
Slash
Whirl.
Wind Slash and Slurp Slash.
Mm-hmm. Make X
Yeah.
Slash, which is one of the best early damage dealing attacks you learn, and then you
It
lose
just
it because Frog leaves your party.
it just always bugged me when they made a formation that did not make an X, but it made like a weird A or V.
Or a straight line.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Gotta
one of
have
the
it, yeah.
things about this game with the magic is that positioning of you and the enemies was very important.
Unfortunately, you couldn't change your position.
No, but the enemies did move around a little bit, not much.
It really felt like a great idea, and then like 4 dungeons in, the developers forgot about it.
Yeah, especially when you learn lightning, fire, and ice too, that just deals damage to the entire screen.
Yeah. In fact, everyone gets an AoE ability that doesn't care. Robo starts with one who doesn't care. He then
Are you
later
on
on
the screen? Yes. Then eat laser, motherfucker.
Like one of his later abilities is a bomb that kind of does that around him, and you're like, this is shitty. I'm just gonna go back to him spinning around shooting laser beams.
But I just like the idea of Chrono holding a lantern, which feels weird because it feels like he should have some sort of light emitter.
Robo's holding the lantern. You said Chrono,
I'm sorry, Robo holding a lantern, which feels weird because you feel like he should have some sort of light emitter, holding
like
his
from his
laser
eyes.
gun towards the centipede, while being surrounded by God knows what else, rats, bats, and whatever the hell this thing is. I'm not even sure what that is.
I think that was my math teacher.
And once again, Glenn has his round shield.
Take note, he's not throwing it like an idiot.
And so it's just like I said, Akira Toriyama does amazing art with shit like this.
Like the details in the cave walls itself are nice.
Mm-hmm. The bats
Anyway,
hanging upside down with their wings wrapped around them, getting them woken up for their nap.
I don't imagine Robot's very silent walking through the cave, so yeah.
Yeah,
Also, looks like Robo's pipe will be screaming into the ceiling.
I didn't notice that till you said that. But yeah, I could never imagine Roe being part of a stealth group. But
No, he and Alphonse from Full Alchemist will do the exact same sneaking technique. Clonk, 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 clonk.
this armor makes me super stealthy.
Thanks for joining us, Tristan. Clonk, 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 clonk.
It's good to have fun with this. Now, this is no scene in particular from Chrono Trigger, but I just love, once again, the attention to detail. The little lights in the windows down there in the village. You actually get a somewhat view of the pendant that Marl has, which never appears in a lot of other art I find.
It's weird.
You can find an image of the necklace, but it's not that important. Like, it's just
No.
a connection to Zeal and time traveling.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, the little lights in the village, the trees, the atmosphere. It's a very nice piece of art.
Mm-hmm. I've run out of ways of praising Akira Toriyama's art.
Yeah.
I knew this would happen. Saul picks way too much art. You complained about me picking too much for Bleach, and here you are overloading with this. And also that poor pterodactyl carrying Robo.
Now, this is the actual in-game sprites. It's very well detailed for what it is. Like, remember, this came out for the Super Nintendo first.
Yep.
And Frog's sword went limp.
No. Oh, wait. Yeah, it did. Shit, I never noticed that before.
I'm sorry, but the positioning of it is just too much. But yeah, I mean, it's not like the greatest thing ever, but like I said, when this first came out, this was what it looked like on a Super Nintendo. The leaves, the ground, the characters, like this was very well detailed, in my opinion.
Honestly, 1995 was a very strong year graphic-wise for the Super Nintendo. I just did a quick Google of what games came out that year. Yoshi Island came out that year.
Was that when Super Metroid came out?
I don't see Super Metroid. I think Super Metroid was a year before. But we had things like Earthworm Jim 2, Mega Man X2. Ooh, Clock Tower came out that year. Yeah, no, this was definitely when they knew how to make the SNES games look really damn pretty.
I forgot about Clock Tower. Damn.
Yeah. That's also the year Mega Man 7 came out.
Huh. Go figure.
Mm-hmm. EKC2 came out. Ooh, Killer Instinct came out that year too. Yeah, no. So if you wanted a year of the good SNES graphics, it was 1995.
And so, just another example of the fine art from Chrono Trigger.
Yep.
I mean, yeah, they use copy and paste for some of the side characters. I think this image really kind of tells you that they did.
Every game does.
Yeah, it's a
None of
resource
this.
saving technique. I'm not gonna be too hard on them for that.
No.
But yeah, Chrono, Luca, Frog, Prophet Magus, Queen Zeal, Shala, and like they're even just using black to a nice detail to show the illumination and how other things stand out. So I think it's well done.
Mm-hmm.
Intentional or not, I couldn't tell you, but I just think the details are nice in game because you can tell that they put a lot of heart into this.
Yes.
Okay, so this is where I'm going to discuss the different variations of the game.
And this is where we find out that M is blind to graphical rework. Because I cannot tell the difference between these two images. Soul has already explained to me what the differences are. I still cannot see it. I'm the guy the internet says does not exist. I can't tell the difference between 30 frames and 60 frames and various other fidelity things. I just don't care. As long as it looks pretty and it's not like going
Yeah,
10
I
frames
look.
a
I will
second,
never
I don't
judge
get
anybody
dizzy.
for not being able to tell the difference just because I can. But that's just me. Like most of the time, I can't tell the difference either. But something like this is one of the few times I can, and I can't tell if it's because it's obvious to me, or it's just because how much I like the game.
Mm-hmm.
But the main thing you can see is that there's a more smoothness to Chrono in the blending of his colors, and he's a little less blocky. But that's really it. Now, the first iteration was for the Super Nintendo that came out in 1995. That was the original Chrono Trigger. Then I forget when they did a remake on the PlayStation that added um, animation scenes to it, which lasted only to about halfway point of the game. That because you
Weirdly.
constantly had Chrono and one of the party members for certain events, and then
I know, but you still could have found ways of doing it.
yeah, but after that point, the party was whoever you wanted to, so the animation scenes were pretty much cut from it, really. Um, but that came with also with Final Fantasy. What was it? 6,
I think so. No, no, 4.
4. Okay, yeah.
It
That
came
came
with
as a
the best
combo
Final
disc for the
Fantasy game.
PlayStation. Then a few years later, it came out as a remake for the DS, which added new dungeons, a monster raising thing, and tried to tie it to Chrono Cross better. Didn't do that well for me, but
Mm-mm.
um, then they remade it for the phone for iOS and Android.
Which was not really a remake, it was just a port
It was a
of the
terrible
DS
port,
version. Yeah, there's a lot of problems with that port.
which led to problems with the Steam port because that was just pretty much a copy and paste from the phone port. It has since been updated to work better, but that was a terrible mistake. They should have just reported it straight from the DS because that would have solved a lot of issues, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But
There are rumors that the next Square Enix is going to do another Pixel remaster games, and if Chrono Trigger is not on that list of Pixel remasters, Soul's going to riot.
Square Enix, you better, I swear to God.
Meanwhile, I'm just sitting here going, I want more references to Final Fantasy 14.
But here's the thing: despite not liking the better tie-ins to Chrono Cross, the definitive edition, in my opinion, is either the PlayStation. The only problem with that is the longer loading times,
Yeah, but it has the good Glenn the Frog translation,
or the DS,
which doesn't have the Frog translations.
but it has better loading times. So pick your poison on that one. Me, honestly,
And
I'd go the PlayStation.
I go the DS, even though I do not like the story the bonus stuff added. I did like the gameplay the bonus stuff added.
Fair enough. Now, before we go towards the ending, there are a few things that were not the greatest thing. We brought up the issue with the dual tech.
Mm-hmm. We
Now
brought
it's
up
time to discuss the issues with time traveling.
well, yeah. Okay, the very first thing you do when you go back in time is Meryl actually gets confused for her ancestor,
Which
so they
means her
stop.
ancestor was never rescued.
So she was never born. So she fades from time. Everyone remembers her though, but she
Yeah.
fades from time. Like she's still in the past and then just disappears before your eyes, leaving behind only her pendant.
Which was charged from the Mammoth machine, which
But
was,
was uncharged at the time.
I think it
It
was
had
just a
lasted.
weekend charge, but regardless, the only way that it even makes sense is that it's because of the pendant, because it's technically a power source from Lavos.
Regardless, that's not our problem with this.
No.
Is that we do multiple things throughout history that should have the same outcome. Now,
The biggest, it's not terrible in this game, But you have when you're doing a time travel story, there has to be set rules. Whether you use
Yes.
the grandfather paradox, which was what Marley did, or some other time rule, because there are a variety of this depending on what scenario you
Yeah.
go with.
Does every action you make cause a parallel timeline a la Dragon Ball Z?
Is there technically do you create alternate timelines like Back to the Future that you go back and forth with?
No, Back to the Future didn't make alternate future. The grandfather paradox. That was the thing it did constantly.
No, because Dr. Brown explained it in Back to the Future too. When he explained it to Marty, he created an alternate timeline each other Back to the Future too.
Right, right. That's why I did not like the rest of the Back to the Future movies because it broke the one rule the first one had.
Mm-hmm.
I don't. I always say, don't be afraid to write a time travel story, but write your rules and never break them.
I just use that as an example because Doc Brown used a whiteboard to try and explain that, so it's one of the easier ones to flow when you to understand when you're explaining
Yeah.
that one.
I mean, don't get me started about how Legend of Zelda keeps breaking its time travel rules and drives me up the freaking wall.
I mean, then you got the alternate time versions of timelines that happened in Avengers movies,
Oh, jeez, yeah.
which was a
Like,
whole other headache.
I understand. And this is the example of they want a time travel story, but they want to do all the time travel stories at
I
once.
mean, the examples of time traveling are fine,
Yes.
but because they're all combined, it just leads to more questions. And for someone that really loves this game and dives into it, that just gives me a headache.
Yes.
But when it's just being a game and you're just having fun with it, this is phenomenal. The music, I
I can't
can't
keep to
think
listen
of
to.
a bad music in this game.
Oh God, no! The
Like
soundtrack is fantastic.
like I said, the music in this game is so fantastic, much like Zelda, that there's actually orchestrations that play music from this game. And it's just fantastic. Because even in the 16-bit area, this was amazing music.
This is why I want more Chrono Trigger in Final Fantasy 14. I want Soken to have a chance to play with these songs.
Oh my god, I can't imagine Soken making Chrono Trigger music.
I want him to get a hold of Frog's theme and Magus's theme.
Oh my god, I love Frog's theme.
Yes, yes, I do.
Oh, like I love any like 90% of remixes for Chrono Trigger. I love because it's so strong of a melody that even remix you can tell what it is. And I just think that says great things about the music, in my opinion. But the like I said, the two major drawbacks is the time traveling and the dual art, dual and triple text that just eventually just become meaningless.
I mean, I also think the implementation of the AOE spills are all over the place. Like, I like the idea of waiting for two enemies to be near each other, but having no way of controlling that is.
Yeah, I mean, if you could control the angle, it might at least that way you won't have to control where they are, but to control the angle for where the attack happens. Like imagine being alter the trajectory for the X slash, so you could aim where the X happens between the two characters.
Yeah, so you could hit more than one enemy.
Mm-hmm. Because positioning is a weird thing. I mean, it's not a big issue, but when you try to nail the enemies and they're just not lined up the right way, you're just spending more time or resources than you need to. And all for like a couple of angles.
Yeah, and if that was something only the dual text could do, then it would actually have a point to them. Beyond
Yeah.
looking really cool.
But yeah,
I will never get over the Meryl and Ayla. Meryl makes a giant ice glacier, and then Ayla chucks it at somebody.
one
Like,
of the things
like,
that this game did, I want to bring it up real quick, is that there was technically two experience systems. You got experience points to level up the characters, and then you got tech points that increase your magic.
mhm.
So you could technically learn all the spells faster than you could level up.
Very hard to do so because very few monsters gave more TP than
Yeah, there's only a
EXP.
few rare monsters that usually ran away that gave you a decent amount of tech points to do that
Yeah,
with.
my first time playing the game, I basically just tried to play farm bows.
Yeah, but that it was. I mean, in for an RPG, it was well paced. Like you
Hmm.
never felt that you had to go out of your way to grind for experience. You could go to most of the dungeons and not run into really too much of an issue, but that's also where I find fault with this game. It felt too outside the beginning couple of areas. Like once you got through the first couple of bosses,
Mm.
you really did in the run. And if you did all the side quests properly, you had no challenge in this game, in my opinion.
No, the difficulty of the game basically just falls into a pit and you just sail right on through.
I mean, the biggest difficulty after the first boss in the future, where you go underground, you fight the giant robot. That was pretty much one of the toughest bosses at the start of the game.
Yeah.
Once you got past that point, it's pretty much even. Like I can't fault it for
I,
having.
I can I can only think of four bosses that ever gave me trouble my first time playing it. That robot, Magus, um, the Black Tyranno, and Final Form Lavos.
Yeah.
Everything else was just a hit with stick.
Or once you learn how to lower their defense with like the reptites, hit with lightning and then smack with stick.
Yep.
So the weird thing is it's its greatest strength because it never made you feel like you had to heavy grind anything in order to
No,
progress. But at the
honestly,
same
I
time,
think a difficulty setting would have made the game a lot better.
yeah. I mean, the closest thing you get to a difficulty setting is much like Final Fantasy. This had a action time bar,
Yeah.
and you could set it so that once your time bar was up, the enemies would have to wait, or they could keep attacking while you're in menus.
Yeah.
And while at first this could be a huge thing for difficulty, if you know what you're doing, it just doesn't matter.
Da-da, done.
Yeah, because if you know where your items are, or what tech you want to use, or just basically just smack with stick, having the enemy be able to do what they want whenever they want really just doesn't matter.
And that's why Ayla didn't carry her club. The game was already too easy.
Me bring stick? Nah, you're not gonna need a Ayla. Just use your fist. So I really, if they remake this one and still even charge the $70 that some of these games, new consoles have, I doubt they would. But I would pay that, in my opinion.
I can pay 70 because I already have the beloved DS version and I can just dust that off anytime I want, but I would happily pay, what they paid the price for the Pixel remasters for it.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying like I would, but I would hesitate also. But if they charge like, if they just leave it alone, like say they ported the DS version to the PlayStation 5 so I could stream it, I would happily pay the full price for the original Chrono Trigger, which was like $60.
Yeah.
I would not complain, but that's me personally. If you want my honest opinion, even as old as this game is, it's the $50 to $60 range for me. Now, if you can get it on sale, that's even better for you.
Yeah. Like, as
But
much as we don't like the Steam slash phone release, I still recommend, if that's the only way you can get it right now, yeah, grab it that way.
especially the Steam has updated a couple of times to actually get it functional.
Yeah, and there
So,
are some mods out there to make it
mhm.
closer to how it should be. I should
So
look into it if there is a mod just to make Shakespearean Frog again.
I have to look into that. But I wish if they do a remake for this, give Frog back his yield English.
Yes, please.
Um, don't bother trying to force more into to connect to Chrono Cross. Just leave it alone.
Yeah, as much as I enjoyed the gameplay of those dungeons, just leave them at that as most extra. Don't like make
Yeah,
it
just leave it
mandatory.
as where the DS left it, and just stop.
Yeah,
And if you make a sequel, just pretend Chrono Cross doesn't exist, please.
yeah, please. Also, there are some wonderful fan stuff out there that unfortunately Square Enix keeps taking down. So
If you
keep circling.
can, and I have not played it, but I have heard a lot of great things from it. Chrono Trigger Crimson Tides.
I have watched the Let's Play of it. It is meh. Although I do not like them trying to make Frog and Ayla a couple.
I did not hear about that one.
Yeah. There's also a fan game where you play as Magus trying to infiltrate Zeal. That was pretty damn good looking.
Mm. But You
And
know
it
what,
was a
M?
fantastic 3D remake.
Yeah.
That one got shot down before it was even close to being playable.
Oh my god, that was supposed to be like that was back when the GameCube was prominent.
Yeah, yeah, it was. That was a fan project back then. There is still fans trying to get this game to come out, no matter what way they can, or a sequel to it.
Yeah. And with all my heart, I hope someone succeeds and at least getting Square Enix to at least try and make a remake.
I kind of wish
But
Square
I
Enix would
don't
take
know.
would
It
would.
doesn't seem like it's an issue with Nintendo because they got it for the PlayStation and Steam.
Hmm.
So I don't know if it's at first I thought it was like a rights issue between Square Enix and Nintendo.
No, it was never a
No, that's what I
Nintendo.
thought at first.
Oh, I honestly just wish that SquareSoft and Square Enix and Nintendo would take a page from Sega's book and let the fans do their thing, and then snipe and then grab those fans to make official Sonic games.
Works for me.
Yeah,
But you know what, Em? I think we're in need of a vacation. I know a great spot.
really.
Yeah, it's got a nice outdoors. It's got a nice lake. We can just go fishing, shoot some arrows, run screaming in terror at night. You know, it'd be a
Wait,
great
what?
vacation spot.
Wait, what was that last thing?
Nope, nothing. See ya. I'll see you when we get
What?
there.
Wait, what's going on?